Webinar title, Low-Code Solutions. Webinar date, November 29th, 2023, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Children's Bureau, Division of State Systems logo.
Welcome to the Child Welfare Information Technology Systems Managers and Staff webinar series brought to you on behalf of the Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families, Children's Bureau. My name is Philip Breitenbuscher, and I am your host for today's webinar. Today's discussion is entitled Low-Code Solutions. We do want to encourage participation in today's webinar, and one way you can do that is by participating in our first poll question, which has already been launched, and I see a number of you have responded. Thank you very much. The first poll question will ask you to please help us select future webinar topics, and we're asking that you select the top 3 choices, your top 3 topics that you would like us to present on in 2024. Your feedback is greatly appreciated.
Slide title, Participating in today's webinar. On-screen text demonstrating how to participate is explained by moderator.
Throughout today's webinar, your ongoing participation is welcomed and encouraged. You're able to participate in several different ways. The first way, of course, is by asking questions. Please use the Q&A function or feature located in your Zoom ribbon. That may be at the top or the bottom of your screen. And it looks like the icon there to my left, which says Q&A. That will help us keep track of your questions. You're also able to ask questions using the raised hand feature. And we will then chat with you privately just to confirm that you would like to have your microphone unmuted and ask your question live. At that point, once you've confirmed that in the chat, we will then call upon you by name and allow you to ask your question there, and you can engage with our presenters. If you've joined us by telephone, you're also able to raise your hand using the *9 feature, and that'll also allow us to unmute your line. We have the first poll question open. That's another way to engage with us. So we're encouraging you to participate in that poll question. And we have a second poll question later in the webinar, which will also give you an opportunity to engage. After today's webinar, if you continue to have questions, you can either ask those questions to your federal analyst, or you can submit those to us at ccwis.questions@acf.hhs.gov. All right.
Slide title, poll question number 2. On-screen text demonstrating how to participate in question is explained by moderator.
It's now time for us to move into our second poll question. And again, we are encouraging participation here. So the question is this: how familiar are you with low-code or no-code development approaches? And we ask you select one of the response topics. Very familiar, familiar, not familiar. What is this? All right, I see the responses piling in now. You guys are responding so quickly. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to just leave this poll open for just a few more seconds, so your response is appreciated. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this poll and share the results. Okay, it looks like the majority of you, 57%, are familiar and have heard about it, but no direct experience. And then we have an even split here with those of you that are very familiar and developing or using one now, and also those of you that are not really familiar at all. And then about 9% of you are not even sure what this really is about. So again, we thank you for participating in our poll question. We're going to go ahead and move forward. Your participation does help us and our presenters kind of know who we're talking to.
Slide title, Introductions. Federal presenter names and titles are read by moderator.
So speaking of presenters, let's go ahead and start with some introductions. We're going to have our presenters introduce themselves, and I'll start first with Amit.
Hi, my name is Amit. I'm Amit Rastogi, DSS Federal Analyst.
Hi, I'm Charlie Thompson. I'm a federal contract supporter.
Hi, I'm Sujata Meenakshi Sundaram. I'm also a federal contract support.
Thank you all. We appreciate you presenting on today's webinar. My name is Phil Breitenbuscher, and I'm Federal Contract Support, and I will be your moderator today.
Slide title, Agenda. For agenda objectives are read by moderator.
All right, here's our agenda. Today, we will start with setting the stage for load code solutions. Then we will move into a section on understanding load code solutions, and then discuss key considerations for child welfare information technology. And we will then leave some time for questions and answers and discussion. So with that, it's my pleasure now to hand things off to Amit.
Slide title, Setting the Stage for Low-Code Solutions.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's webinar. Can we move to the next slide, please?
Slide title, Development Approaches. On-screen text is read and described by presenter.
Thank you. As the Title 40 agencies review their needs to implement a child welfare information system, such system may be a CWIS or a non-CWIS system. Again, laying a groundwork for a successful child welfare information system implementation starts with a collaboration between agencies' IT and child welfare practice divisions. The first step to implement a child welfare solution starts with identifying the project's business goals and outcome, and then identifying the technology best suited to deliver those goals and outcomes. Again, implementing a new child welfare solution is a major undertaking that requires significant time, resources, and investments. Recently, we published a technical bulletin 10 that provides Title 40 agencies with details about low-code solutions and outlined what Title 40 agency decision makers should understand about these solutions. Again, with the technology advancement, the marketplace offers several options for implementing a child welfare solutions. Here are a few of the options. So one of the options is custom development option. Again, custom development involves creating an IT solution from the scratch, where development team offer a custom software development services to agency to meet their needs. Unlike off-the-shelf software that meets the business general needs, development team build custom software from grounds up to meet agencies' specific requirement, allowing them to leverage the software development life cycle. The second option is the low-code development approach. The low-code is a software development approach that requires little to no coding to build application and processes. Instead of using complex programming languages, low-code platforms use visual tools, drag and drop functionality, and automation to create application. They often come with pre-built functions and workflows to create IT solutions. Examples of low-code development includes applications that are designed for a specific line of business or automation. The third approach is the cards. You heard a lot about the cards. The card solution provide out-of-the-box functionality to support specific business function. These products are ready to use upon installation and are designed to easily integrate with an existing system. These products are available in commercial market for general public to purchase. Card solutions are low-code solution and require no custom development. Any modification to the cards are made through the configuration. And the last approach is the hybrid approach. This is the combination of two or more other options described here. Again, the objective of today's webinar focuses on the low-code solution. The Charlie Thompson, our next presenter, will talk about what are low-code solutions, how do the low-code solution works, challenges and trade-off of using low-code solution. And later part of the presentation, Sujata will talk about the key consideration agencies should evaluate before selecting a low-code solution for agencies' child welfare IT implementation. Next slide, please. Charlie.
Slide title, Understanding Low-Code Solutions.
Thank you, Amit. As Amit mentioned, what I want to talk about is give you a brief overview of low-code solutions and describe what they are, how they work, what are the advantages, what are the challenges, and what are the trade-offs involved in using low-code solutions. Next slide, please.
Slide title: What are low-code solutions? 4 bullets are read and described by presenter.
So first, the basic question, what are low-code solutions? Low-code solutions are rapid application development tools that use graphical user interfaces and configuration instead of traditional programming to build an application. The term low-code was first used in 2014. Since then, there's been a dramatic growth in the use of low-code solutions. Some project that by 2025, 70% of new applications will use low-code or no-code technologies, which is up from less than 25% in 2020. You will sometimes see low-code paired with the term no-code. No-code solutions are designed for business users without software development training. Low-code solutions, in contrast, are designed for professional developers and have features, more robust capabilities that are needed for a CWIS. Next slide, please.
Slide title: How do low-code solutions work? 3 bullets are read and described by presenter.
So how do low-code solutions work? They provide templates and frameworks that speed the development of applications with minimal coding. Developers interact with the visual models to create the application, which is then converted into code. For example, when developing a user interface, the developer may select a standard template for a screen, such as 1 or 2 columns, and then simply drag and drop the fields from the database or other controls onto the screen. The developer then clicks on the field and completes a template to add edits or make a field mandatory, for example. The low-code solution takes care of the technical details of wiring up the user interface for the developer. Also, low-code solutions offer out-of-the-box technical and business components and modules that can be configured as needed. These include out-of-the-box connectors and application programming interfaces that make integration with external systems easier. Next slide, please.
Slide title: What are the advantages? 4 bullets are read and described by presenter.
So what are the advantages of low-code solutions? Low-code solutions promise to speed application development through reduced coding time and the use of pre-built components. The faster turnaround of application features better supports prototyping and other agile development practices. Low-code solutions offer an integrated environment that provides a structured approach to development and deployment that promotes standardization and reuse. As mentioned, they offer support for integrations and interfaces between the low-code solution and other enterprise systems. Some vendors or their partners have developed common business functionality and child welfare specific functions in addition to offering low-code development tools. Finally, they offer different hosting options, cloud, on-premise, or hybrid, but it should be noted that all vendors don't offer all these options. Next slide, please.
Slide with text: What are the challenges or risks? 6 bullets are read and described by presenter.
So what are some of the challenges? The fundamental question is whether a low-code solution can meet your agency's business requirement. This question about meeting requirements is the fundamental challenge for the project. Most agencies, if new to low-code solutions, will need assistance in making the determination because it requires in-depth understanding of the capabilities and limitations of the product. Most products can support high-level child welfare requirements, such as take a report or assign a case. But the challenges arise from the agency's specific details. For example, how many ways are cases assigned in your agency? Round robin, geographical, on-call roster, specialized resources, and other ways. These specifics expose limitations of the product. Also, while the low-code solution can support integration, agencies need to understand their unique system integration requirements and the solution's ability to meet them. There are also cost considerations, including licensing, different software additions, hosting costs, and other customization costs. There is a risk of vendor lock-in and potential product obsolescence due to your dependence on the low-code product to build, deploy, and maintain the application. The solution also requires new IT skills to implement or support the solution. The project may require fewer traditional developers, but the project will need developers with experience using the low-code solution to be successful. Finally, low-code solutions have a learning curve and require training for both IT and business staff to understand the capabilities and limitations of the product. Next slide, please.
Slide title: What are the trade-offs of 4 bullets are read and described by presenter.
So what are the trade-offs inherent with low-code solutions? Managing the trade-offs between your business and technical requirements and the capabilities and limitations of the low-code solution are critical for a successful project. The trade-off between configuration and customization is central to low-code projects. Low-code solutions are designed to be tailored to meet your requirements. The products offer various ways to configure the solutions, including low-code tools. But in some cases, the project must use traditional code to meet a specific requirement. This custom code then must be integrated into the low-code solution and maintained over the life of the application. Ideally, customization should be kept to a minimum. Otherwise, the benefits of a low-code solution are reduced. The trade-off for the project is how to make the best use of the low-code solution and still meet their business requirements. Most projects will need assistance to help with this trade-off analysis. Reducing unnecessary complexity is important for low-code solutions to avoid customization. One good approach is to look for inconsistent business processes across the organization to determine whether these variations are necessary or whether the processes can be standardized. Another option is to look at how the low-code solution performs a process to determine whether that process can be adopted versus customizing the system to meet current practices. This trade-off requires strong support from business leadership and effective change management. These are just a few examples of the trade-off that are required to balance business and technology objectives with the capabilities and limitations of low-code solutions. If the low-code solution is new to the agency, then they should consider independent verification and validation, IV&V services. IV&V activities could include a review of the agency's readiness to support the project and determine what preparations, positions, and tools need to be in place to be successful. The trade-offs are not easy, and they require the close cooperation and partnership between business and IT to make the best decisions. Next slide, please.
Slide title: Key considerations for child welfare IT.
With that, I would like to turn the presentation over to Sujatha, who will further discuss some of these considerations. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Next slide, please.
Slide title: Introduction. 5 bullets are read and described by presenter.
So we'll start by understanding the selection process, the critical steps involved in selecting the right low-code solution and how the agency prepares to make informed decision here. We'll also discuss the key considerations for making such decision and why it is crucial to balance IT and business perspective as these decisions impact both. Next slide, please.
Slide title: Factors agencies should consider when selecting low-code solutions. 3 bullets are read and described by presenter.
Now let's look at the factors to consider when selecting a low-code solution. Selecting a low-code platform or the right one is not merely about choosing a tool. It is about adopting an approach that supports the agency's growth and adaptability. So in the face of emerging trends and shifting market dynamics, as Charlie mentioned earlier, The significance of making an informed decision cannot be overstated. First, considering modular design for scalability. Why it is crucial? Because chosen platform not only needs to meet our current needs, but also should have the ability to grow alongside our business. It plays a very pivotal role in long-term success. Customization and flexibility are equally paramount. The ideal low-code platform must be flexible, adapting seamlessly to changing business requirements. And it's about striking the perfect balance, which is tough in many cases, but that is key. By using available pre-built modules within the low-code platform, and what is the scope for customization, like tailoring solutions to the unique needs of the agency. Additionally, we must not overlook user experience because, as Charlie mentioned earlier, drag and drop interfaces, it is not about just being consistent and intuitive because it leads to easier adoption. A clear, responsive design doesn't just look good, it enhances the efficiency, improves productivity, and also streamline the workflows. Moving on to the next slide, please.
Slide title, Factors Agencies Should Consider When Selecting Low-Code Solutions. 4 bullets are read and described by presenter.
We are going to continue on factors to consider in selection. So the seamless integration capabilities are crucial to maintain business continuity and ensure smooth operation across diverse systems. Additionally, it is important to evaluate deployment options. Earlier presenters mentioned about different options available like cloud-based, on-premise, and hybrid. As you know that not all low-code platforms and vendors offer all of the options, but we need to consider that. And consider whether the data model can be dynamically updated without a major overhaul is key. And ensure that the solution is modular in nature. And lastly, conducting a very thorough cost-benefit analysis is key. This will guide you in selecting a very cost-effective choice that aligns with your business needs and program goals. In summary, if we need to look into all the factors, selecting a low-code platform should offer scalable solutions, offer seamless integration, have the capability to support modular design and a dynamic data model. Why it is crucial? Because it supports business agility, a cost-effective solution, and it also would ensure it stay adaptable in the face of emerging trends. Moving on to the next slide, please.
Slide title, How Can Title IV Agencies Prepare for the Low-Code Solution Decision? 7 bullets are read and described by presenter.
We will discuss how agencies prepare for making an informed low-code solution decision here. So, understanding the factors that we discussed earlier was just a start. Preparation is actually means after battle won. So, how can the agency prepare themselves? So, think about what you want to achieve with low-code. Is it improving business process or streamlining operation or driving innovation here? Because your vision and program goals will guide a successful adoption of low-code solutions. And every agency is unique. So understanding specific challenges that you're facing will help tailor the low-code solution to your specific requirements. And also evaluate your current systems and IT infrastructure first, because that will help you understand where do they fall short. How can low-code fill these gaps? And improve your business process is critical for a project success. And emphasize the need for workflow optimization, like how low-code can enhance your business process or task or operations. Next slide, please. So I'm sorry, can you go back to the previous one? Thank you. So focusing on the features that has more impact and value is very critical. It is not just about automating a current business process, or adding a nice to have features. It's more about adding value for a long-term sustainability. And also define a good governance framework or a model to ensure a smooth implementation, because it needs to outline who does what and how decisions are made. And also, as Charlie mentioned earlier, like not all low-code platforms are created equal. So choosing a platform that meets your needs and future goals is very, very important. Next slide, please.
Slide title: How can Title IV agencies prepare for the low-code solution decision? 6 bullets are read and described by presenter.
When evaluating, we are continuing on how agency prepare for making a decision. So when evaluating low-code solutions, agencies should prioritize platforms with a solid modular architecture, dynamic data modeling capabilities, ensuring they can seamlessly adapt to evolving business needs. So focus on how these features align with your workflows, align with your scalability requirements or your long-term program goals. So that like this informed decision that you make would support sustained growth. You might be wondering how we can achieve this. So one possible approach could be looking for a platform that allows for building, reusing, and integrating various modules is the first step, and determining how easily new features can be implemented, or check how well the local platform integrate with existing systems, and also analyze your current and future data needs to ensure the low-code solutions architecture and data model align with these requirements. Testing the solution with a pilot is also another good approach. That will help you know how well does the solution align with your needs before a full-scale implementation. And also look at the pre-built functionalities within the low-code platform to determine what customization will you need. This helps in agencies to understand how it can complement your current business workflows. As we move forward, it is crucial to proactively identify potential risk early, allows us to help to have a mitigation plan. It's not only ensure security and compliance, but also would help us plan better for the project, ensure overall project security, and also reduces the risk of non-compliance. And we also recommend a technology agnostic approach. What it means is it is not to keep yourself tied with one solution. It ensures you not to do that and allows flexibility to adapt to more solutions. Furthermore, engaging users throughout the project lifecycle is very important to understand their challenges, their needs, and to have them validate the solution alignment with requirements, and also to have a buy-in, which is very vital for a successful adoption. So to summarize all this, the successful utilization of a low-code solution and the readiness of the agency, it starts with the readiness assessment. And then understand the current development practices, business process maturity, and the program goals. And establishing a governance model to oversee design and development, and as well as starting with a pilot to understand how low-code platform capabilities work. And of course, last but not least, establishing a robust feedback mechanisms and change management strategy is very critical. Let us pause for a moment. Are there any questions you would like to ask? Okay. Next slide, please.
Slide title: Key considerations for the low-code solution decision. 3 icons are shown on screen: a target, a checkmark, and dollar bills. Under these icons, there are 3 points that are read and described by presenter.
So here we would be exploring the key considerations when making the low-code solution decision. This is heart of the decision making. Like imagine you're choosing a new office location, like you would consider office size, which is nothing but the scalability, and cost, which is nothing but total cost of ownership, layout, which is like customization and standardization, and how easily can it be modified, which is modular design and flexible data models. So I'll start with that example. So first up, we will be looking into pilot project planning. Imagine you're implementing a case management or an intake module. Start small by defining a very clear objective and ensure that the scope is manageable. This approach would help us to test the waters, ensure it aligns with the long term goals, and also the low code solutions capabilities. So you always test and learn and adapt. So that is a good starting point. And the next one would be the scalability. For example, think you're expanding a local program to state or federal level. In our domain, business needs evolve. We need a solution that grows with us and adapting to new policies and regulations and user needs. So scalability would be the driving force. It should ensure that whatever you're investing today continues to deliver value tomorrow. So that is one. And also the next one would be the total cost of ownership. It is not just about initial cost here. It is about an ongoing commitment. So we are talking about direct cost here, like licensing and development cost. And there are indirect cost, including customization, upgrades, training. And so you should consider both indirect and direct cost, as well as other hidden costs to understand the total cost of ownership better. Let's proceed to the next slide.
Slide title, Key Considerations for the Low-Code Solution Decision. 4 icons are shown on screen, 2 gears, a maze, a flowchart icon, and a single gear. Under these icons, there are 4 points that are read and described by presenter.
Again, we are going to continue with how we can look into the key considerations here. So next one is balancing customization with standardization. This involves tailoring the platform to meet the unique needs while still adhering to standard features. What it means is like, it is very challenging, of course. The challenge lies in customizing effectively without adding complexity is key. Why we need to do that? Because this way is to ensure the solution remains scalable, accessible, and continue to be efficient. On the other hand, maintaining standard features is also important to ensure compliance and also its alignment with standards. And so customization could involve, for example, in the child welfare case management, customization could involve adding specific functionalities like detailed case tracking or a custom workflow for case managers or integrating with the different systems or even a specialized reporting or notifications to monitor outcomes. So we need to find the right balance between the two. The next one would be the workflow complexity. Yes, low code platforms, as you all know, can manage complex workflows. Like another example could be the workflows in an adult protective services, for instance. However, customization here, you can think it of as like a double edged sword. It is beneficial, but potentially costly. Why it is costly? Because the more complex the approaches, the greater you need the resources, technical expertise, and you need to manage the cost, maintenance, complexity, and everything. So the key is here is to understand how customization affects the complexity and the cost. Then we have the flexible data model and modular design. Of course, the customizing the data objects in a low code environment, we all know it would increase the complexity. Of course, it's going to increase the cost. But it is about more of like adapting a facility, like you're having a public facility or using a facility to serve multiple purposes, which is beneficial, of course. But what it actually needs is like very careful planning and resource allocation before we end up customizing the solution. And flexibility should all allow customization without excessive complexity is key. So we keep repeating the same thing, but again, it is about finding the right balance between standardization, and customization and the cost. For example, if you're integrating various data sources like income details or health information or employment information for a person profile, the low code platforms can be customized quite efficiently, but this often comes with more cost in development and maintenance and integration. So that needs to be taken into consideration. Lastly, it is important to understand and address the customization constraints within the low code platforms. While they are flexible, they are not without limitations. So we need to recognize these boundaries so that like we can maintain an effective system and be in compliance. commonly you will see the limitations coming up in different editions, different licensing options, and field level limitations, record level limitations, or even API request limits. There are so many of them out there. So therefore, a thorough understanding and strategic planning around these limitations are essential. Let us take a brief pause. Looks like we have some questions.
Yes, thank you. So we had a question that has come in, and the question reads like this: could you please clarify the pilot process? Is this suggesting that deploying the solution for a subset of users?
Oh, wonderful question. Thank you. So the pilot process, it's not just for a subset of users, it's mainly to understand what the current low-code capabilities are. First step would be like, are there any already existing pre-built modules or standard features available for a child welfare system where you can use it as one of an example as a pilot project? And then what level of customization you need, and can it be easily customized? And if that ends up being successful, then the rolling out depends on the agency's preference. Like it can be rolled out in production in the same way as the other projects being rolled out. It can be rolled out to set of users or within set of counties as a parallel processing, or it can be rolled out to the entire user base and then start using it. So I hope I answer your question, but it is more about like first step would be the pilot is mainly to see how easy or flexible enough for the low code solution to be customizable, to be flexible, to be extendable is the key here. And rolling out to a set of users, subset of users, or the entire user base depends on the agency's preference.
Thank you for that. Just wanted to open up in case another panelist wanted to respond. Okay.
Hey, Phil, it's
Yes.
Teresa.
Yes, thank you.
Remind folks that we do have a pilot PI out there. We are in the midst of updating it, and there are many different kinds of pilots. And so it is kind of a general question, but in this context, I think Sujatha's explanation is correct. But I did want folks to know that that PI is out there, and that when the PI is issued, it also clarifies that there potentially could be FFP for pilots. So if you're not familiar with the pilot PI or you have questions, then talk it over with your analyst and be on the lookout for the revised PI. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Teresa. Sujatha?
Thank you, Phil. Next slide, please.
Slide title: Key Considerations for Child Welfare IT Solutions. 6 categories are read and described by presenter.
So here, let us explore the IT considerations that are crucial to this approach. So in terms of IT, we need to consider technical, functional, non-functional, cost, enterprise, and project management requirements, among others. Next slide, please.
Slide title: Key Considerations for Child Welfare IT Solutions. 3 bullets and sub-bullets are read and described by presenter.
The technical here would be like how well can the solution integrate and scale mainly. There are so many requirements here under technical, but we would focus on the key ones. So your solution that you are planning to choose should be robust enough and integrate well with existing and new systems, and should be scalable to changing business needs. And for functional at a high level, you need to look for, does it improve user experience? Does it support business core capabilities? That is first and foremost. And does the solution have the key features the business need? For the non-functional, on the other hand, the key focus should be on the security, the data privacy, and the compliance needs. Let's move on to the next slide to further explore this topic.
Slide title: Key Considerations for Child Welfare IT Solutions. 3 bullets and sub-bullets are read and described by presenter.
So the cost, as we discussed earlier, It's about analyzing the total cost of ownership, including the direct and indirect cost and hidden cost and pricing options. Those are all very, very key. So thorough cost benefit analysis should be part of initial evaluation. And enterprise alignment, like sometimes we feel like, okay, it is one solution in one platform, like why we need to think about at the enterprise level. But it is a good consideration because the solution should align with your overall enterprise digital strategy. Why? Uh, Otherwise, we may end up creating a fragmented solution or prove to be not scalable or not a cost effective in the end. So that is another key consideration here. And in terms of project management, it is crucial to emphasize several key areas. One could be implementation, training, governance, the change management, an operating model, and of course, the continued support post implementation are some of the key factors that we need to look into. Next slide, please.
Slide title: The impact of key IT considerations on business decisions. 3 bullets are read and described by presenter. Each bullet has a sub-bullet.
Now, shifting our focus to how these key considerations are going to influence your business decisions. We have covered quite a few in the previous slide, but let's explore how these affect the business strategy and impact of this on the business decisions. So the ability of the low-code solution to integrate seamlessly and scale according to business need is vital because it's going to ensure how the business adapt to changes without significant technology bottlenecks, because we cannot keep on selecting a solution and then say, okay, it's not going to align with my existing system or existing technologies, and then it's going to be a siloed or a fragmented approach. So this solution, whatever we are making, should support the business agility, should support business ability to utilize new opportunities. So that is key. And again, I'm reiterating this, finding the right balance with customization and standardization is essential. Why? Because the customized solution can offer quite a number of advantages by addressing the very specific needs the business has. But when you go for excessive customization, the immediate outcome would be the higher cost and maintenance complexity. So there is indirect impact could be like lock-in, vendor lock-in, or you may not be able to scale it the way you want it to be. And then user adoption could be very well impacted as well. And standardization, on the other hand, offer cost benefit. We can immediately say, okay, we are going to use the low-code solutions, pre-built or standard features. We are going to be fine with it because it's offering a lot of cost benefits and easier maintenance. But sometimes it also is like another double-edged sword. Like it is, again, may not fully cater to your unique business requirements. So we always need to look for like, how can I strike a perfect balance here? Which is, of course, a challenging effort, but this is a very critical feature that we need to consider. With increasing concerns about data breaches and privacy regulations, we need to look into prioritize the data security and privacy in our IT decisions to prevent severe consequences, financial losses, and of course, to improve the customer trust. Let's proceed to the next slide, please.
Slide title: The impact of key IT considerations on business decisions. 4 bullets and 2 sub-bullets are read and described by presenter.
We are going to further explore this topic. So while customization can provide tailored solution, again, as I mentioned earlier, it is important to strike the balance and understand the benefits against the cost. So the business needs to evaluate whether the added value justifies the additional investment that they're currently putting for customization and how it's going to impact their overall budget and resources. And effective case management from the start would ensure a successful implementation of any IT solution. So that includes the low-code implementation. Poor change management can, of course, will start with like resistance and user adoption impacts, and you may not be able to realize the full benefits of the new solution. And again, aligning with enterprise digital strategy is crucial for a long-term sustainability. It ensures like your overall IT budget supports the business strategy and business objectives, so that like the wasteful spending can be avoided, and if it is not aligning with your needs. So for balanced decision making, this is, I'm saying this is last, but it is very, very critical. Collaboration between business and IT team is essential, so that like the technical team can understand the alignment of solution with business goals, and business can understand the technical capabilities and its limitations. So this is very, very important. So in conclusion, selecting and implementing a low-code solution is, I would say, it's a strategic decision that requires a thorough preparation, consideration of various factors from technical to business, and a clear understanding of how these factors are going to impact your agency's success. So I'll now hand it over to Phil. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that information. I want to just thank all of our presenters. I also want to encourage at this point questions from our audience. And again, remind folks how you can ask a question. The first way is you can use that Q&A function at the top of your screen or the bottom of your screen and submit the question that way. Also, you're able to use the raise hand feature if you're logged in here, and we can see that your hand's raised and we can bring you off mute. Lastly, if you've called in, and we do have a few callers, it looks like, you're able to hit *9, and then we can see that you would like to ask a question live as well.
Slide title, questions and answers. Text reminds audience how to ask questions over the phone or through a Q&A button. Images include 3 blocks spelling out Q&A, then there are 2 images demonstrating the buttons the audience will look for on their call, one with speech bubbles and one with a raised hand.
We'll give it a few moments here for folks to submit their questions. And in the meantime, I would like to offer the opportunity for our panelists and our speakers to offer any other concluding or comments to add to this discussion.
Hi, Phil. This is Stephanie. I just wanted to say, in summary and listening to the great information from Amit, Charlie, and Sujatha, hoping that people understand that low-code solutions are out there and they are available. They are a solution that might be the right solution for your agency. We are just also wanting to ensure that people understand their program needs and their business needs, as it's not always the right solution. So knowing your business, knowing the direction that you are going to go needs to factor into this. And again, we posted the link for technical bulletin number 10, which is on our website. So people can use that as a great valuable resource as well. And I do see there is a question, a couple of questions are coming into the Q&A as well.
Yes, thank you. So the first question, and we often get this very early on in the webinar, but the slides and the recording will be available after the webinar. The slides were actually sent out yesterday through listserv, and the recording will be posted onto the website in a few weeks. There is a second question here, and I'll go ahead and ask the question. Are you able to share a general range of implementation cost for low-code solution, assuming relatively low cost of customization? That seems like probably a fairly difficult question to generalize, but does anyone want to take a stab at that?
I'll answer it, Phil.
Thank you.
And we are going to summarize costs. We have a meeting every January where we kind of set priorities for the year, and we talk about, lessons learned from the last year. So we are in the process of, I know several states have asked for financial information. So we are gathering that information, and I will present it at that January meeting, just in general, so that we have some summary information on all costs. But if there are any specific financial considerations that other folks, Charlie, Sujatha, or anybody else on the call wants to point out related to low code, then please feel free. But I did want folks to know that we will be sharing specific cost information at that January meeting.
I agree. There is, just to add, there is no set cost, but if you're looking into different options and some standard features like many of the market leaders in low code platforms, if they are catering to child welfare domain, they would be providing a list of pre-built standard features like pre-built modules. And that can be used to compare the low code solution options. Mostly it would align if it is not designed completely differently, but mostly it would align. That is one. And customization would be completely different, like it needs to be assessed by feature basis.
Awesome. All right, we had another question that's just come in. And I'll throw this out to all the panelists and the presenters. Can you list some examples of low-code solutions?
I would take a stab at it.
Thank you.
I'm not endorsing any particular product, but the market leaders, if you're looking at it to start with, would be Salesforce and Microsoft products, and it can vary. They offer a range of products, like it's not just Microsoft, a CRM-based solution. It could be CRM-based solution, or it could be the Dynamics, or it could be Power Platform in Microsoft. Salesforce also has a range of products within them. And then there is Appian, and there is Pega, offers different solutions, and ServiceNow is also providing certain capabilities, and there are many more in the market now. So Charlie, if you want to add.
I would just mention, I think it's interesting when you look at low code solutions, they do tend to break out into different categories or product categories that are not hard and fast, but that's covered in that technical bulletin 10. Because one of the things we don't talk a lot about is tools that are sometimes referred to as rapid application development tools, which provide less of the built-in functionalities and more emphasis on being able to quickly deploy an application. So as Sujatha was saying, there's these different groups of the CRM, which have their roots in customer resource management, and then there's workflow-based tools that came out of that background, and then these RAD tools. So you can kind of start to try and map some of these owner products to these different categories, but it is blurring, and all the vendors are moving, trying to consolidate in a lot of respects. So it is sometimes hard to tell the difference between the different vendors.
Great, thank you. Next question here says, you mentioned how cases are assigned is a tricky area for low-code solution. Have you learned of other specific areas we should be aware of? And I think that was Sujatha's section, I believe.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? What case assignment?
Yes. This was the question. It said, you mentioned how cases are assigned is a tricky area for low-code solution. Have you learned of any other specific areas we should be aware of? I guess other kind of tricky situations.
Yeah, that would be in my area. Yeah.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to get at there was you need to look at your business processes and start to really think about what makes your organization unique. So and so when you imagine, and this is really from experience looking at like requirements documents, they'll be very high level. They'll say just what I literally said, be able to take an intake, be able to assign a case. And your vendors will all be able to very honestly say, yes, 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 I can do that. But when you then go in and say, I need, to be able to assign a case geographically, oh, okay, that's not out of the box. We'll have to customize that. But they don't ever usually get asked that detail in a lot of the requirements. So I would think, I think we've heard examples in terms of assessments, like what different kind of assessment tools people use. I'm trying to think some of the other kind of thing, the whole relationships with providers, finance is a huge area, like who cuts the checks. I think one of the states who are county-based, county administered, have additional problems in terms of looking at all these different business practices. So I think rather than trying to say, like, it's a good question and maybe it's one we should study, but it would really be trying to ask yourself questions about where are we unique and what are the business practices that we think make us unique that we really want to maintain and focus on those. Hopefully that maybe some people, other people have some other examples though.
Thank you. And comments from the participants is also thank you, Charlie, for answering that question. So, all right. It looks like we have time for one more question. And this question states this: are there any CWIS systems using a low-cost solution?
I can answer it. Yes, there are a few. And the other thought I had when Charlie was talking about the different kinds of things that you may want to consider in terms of looking at uniqueness in your requirements is when you're doing research and you're talking to other states, which is very valuable, and we very much appreciate those states who do take time to share their experiences with other states. But one of our own learnings is you might get very different kind of perspectives if you talk to the folks who are either using, the system, or what the experience from an end user perspective was in terms of developing and deploying and implementing and using. So just something to keep in mind when you do contact states, that if you have certain roles that you're concerned about, maybe it's adoption, case management, whatever it is setting up some of those folks to talk to some of the program folks, because you really need all perspectives. And the other last piece of advice is, this is another reason why it's so critical to have program staff involved in your procurement processes, both the requirements as well as the selection process, because you really need their buy-in and their understanding. And obviously child welfare is very busy right now and has terrible turnover. But I would just say it makes a real difference in terms of the ownership and understanding of what you're getting, if you have that learning between IT and program. So I would encourage you to talk to other states, but also ask to speak with program folks.
Excellent. Well, I would like to again thank our panelists and presenters. Amit, Charlie, Sujatha, thank you very much for presenting today. Also like to just acknowledge Director Teresa Young for being a special guest today and responding to several of those questions, as well as Stephanie Sarper. Thank you very much. And all of the panelists on this webinar today. Thank you to the audience. We would like to get your feedback.
Slide title, Webinar Satisfaction Survey. Text requests feedback through a webinar satisfaction survey. There is a QR code in the top right-hand side to access the survey. Inside a bright green text box, there is text that the link to the survey will pop up when audience leaves the webinar. Underneath in small text, there is a disclaimer related to the Paperwork Reduction Act.
So you can either use this QR code or when we close out of the webinar, it should pop up. And also in the chat, there is a link. If you don't mind, just clicking on the link. The survey will take you probably less than 2 minutes, certainly less than 5 minutes. But your feedback is important to us as we really seek to improve and enhance our webinars, especially as we move into 2024. So once again, thank you all for your time today. Thank you for your work on behalf of children and families. And with that, I believe that will close us out for today. So thank you for being with us in today's webinar.